What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from the Dyslexic Investor, and we are doing another fantastic live stream again during live market hours, 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, currently on the 6th of July of the year 2020. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. We're going to be looking at a lot of movers today. I just finished up rendering a video that's going to be coming out in the afternoon, early evening, around a very interesting Amazon trade with Amazon basically exploding higher to well over 3,000. It has had one heck of a run, and some people, again, betting on a potential earnings run, which we saw last time. We can go ahead and look at the chart where Amazon had a pretty enormous run into earnings and then kind of traded sideways for a little bit. Thank you, you're coming for some education and some insight? Yeah. So, how long have you been trading? What do you like to do? Do you like to swing trade and things like that? Yeah, it's hard to trade right now, onto the fact because it's really choppy market, and it's something, if you're new to trading, it could be quite cumbersome and scary, lack of better words, in the sense of what's kind of going on. So yeah, I think it's I would say difficult if you're somewhat of a new trader, without a doubt. Kelly D, what up? How you doing, man? Thanks for joining. Let's go ahead and get this awesome. Shout out to Jay Powell for helping the markets go higher as well. Let's get this out of the way. You should be able to see my screen now. So again, we're looking here at the S&P 500. We're up nearly 1% today. So that's a really good sight for the good boys, aka the bulls. Plato, what's up, man? Thumbs up to you, my friend. I've been trading for about 2 years. Swing trading is a preference for me. Love getting into scalping down, up and down, and holding. Yeah, I understand. Swing trading is what jives, what rubs my tea kettle as well. How often do you trade spreads? I love to trade spreads. I do a lot of put credit spreads a lot of times. What's the trade for this afternoon? So I don't know if you guys saw, I actually got out, if you're in the Discord, out of Nikola, hit that $50 price target. We're looked at now, it's even lower. We got out. I wish I held a larger position, without a doubt. But it really got crushed today. Those puts really came in for me, down 15% today. It was a wonderful trade. I am trading. What else have I traded today? Nothing really much. I'm looking out to get out of some Nike. I sold some puts on that. I was trying to get into PEP or PepsiCo, Iron Condor. I was trying to get also into Chipotle, CMG. And that didn't really go very well. It literally just took off for me, and I wasn't able to get the entry point and try to sell some of those puts to get some profit from that. But as of right now, I don't trade heavily on Monday. I kind of like to see how things are going and how things could be trading and get the overall feel of the market, and we can go from there. Ryan, you and I are in the same boat. I was like, wait a minute, this AMD needs to really kind of wake up this sleeping giant, because NVIDIA is literally just running away with their lunch. Not their lunch, they're literally running away with their wife too. Yeah, FOMO, Kai, don't fall for that FOMO stuff. You'll get killed. Like, literally blow up your account. Let's go ahead and look at AMD for Ryan and Play-Doh. So as we talked about again with the live stream on just what happened yesterday on Sunday, AMD has just been trading in this box, or this rectangle, lack of a better words. It has kind of starting to kind of pick up. It's kind of breaking through the 21, which we wanted. It still has a little bit to go because the parabolic SAR is still pushing down on it, Ryan and Play-Doh. So it really needs to kind of break out. It's nothing. It's up 1.5% compared. That's fairly good, but not compared to the overall market, which is really just running away from themselves. The volume oscillator is still somewhat negative at -6. We need that to kind of go positive and potentially go above 15. And the RSI needs to kind of wake up as well to get above 60 as well. We do see that switch on the TTM squeeze from red to yellow. We want to see more yellow kind of come in and potentially turn that into a positive number to go positive as well to continue to see this trend going higher. Still in this trade, it hasn't broken anything. If it starts going lower, I have to cut some below 50. If it's closing below 50, and I would probably just put that money in AMD, like Ryan said. Totally, Piggy. Yeah, we can look at S&P 500. So we can just pull up SPY for you to kind of give that breakdown. So again, this has been trading in that range we talked about. It's kind of breaking out of that box that we're looking at here. Which is a good sign for the bulls if you're bullish. I had a couple indicators on here that I shared with the Patreon folks. They asked about some S&P 500 stuff. With this, it's trying to break out. It needs to close above basically the $316 on the SP 500 to continue going higher. The moving averages are somewhat starting to kind of come defined with the 5, 8, 21, 34, 50, and 200, which is great. The momentum is continue going higher from red to yellow. RSI is climbing, same with volume oscillator. It's really just trying to break out. I think this is kind of cautious because, again, we're starting earnings next week with major banks and things like that, so it's kind of playing the waiting game on how to potentially play the market coming forth. To the downside, if it starts breaking below the 34.21, which is around 308, and it starts breaking below the 200-day, that's going to when things could get substantially negative. Tesla. I got nothing to say on Tesla. I am just glad I'm holding that son of a gun. That thing, it's up 10% nearly today, okay? Up 10% today. Gapping up. It's honestly getting scary for me. On what's going on in the market with huge gap ups 2 days in a row, not 2 days back to back in the sense of Monday, Tuesday, but it's from like last week to Thursday, Wednesday into Thursday, and now Thursday of last week into Monday today, it has gapped up substantially, hitting an all-time high at 1342. Whoa, that is again. This is a pretty large earnings run, I think. It is just really being a market leader. Everyone really getting into the EV market, finding out that Tesla does have the magic sauce, and they have what the technology packages are going well with, on just having the best product out there and the best execution, far none. And they have the reach too. They're building in Berlin, and would love to hear more about that, especially on the conference call. And we'll do a special live stream without a doubt for the earnings as well. This being said, this has completely just run up substantially high. The 5 and 8 are really far away from the ticks. It's starting to hit the red indicator on the overbought on the RSI. Again, this has happened before. This could easily run up to at least 1400 and could potentially start trading sideways from there. But yeah, I would be very careful with this one. This would be a hard one to buy in right now, being up just so much on multiple gap ups, with the assumption of great earnings coming out. So we'll see on how earnings comes out, and we'll just have to reposition from that being forward. Been trading credit spreads on Amazon for a few weeks now. Dev Demo 11. I'm pretty sure that's been great for you. Looking at swing trading Baba comms tonight. Alibaba BABA. Well, I didn't even know this gapped up this much today. Wow, that's pretty insane there as well. Again, RSI is nowhere near fully extended. Volume oscillators going up fairly well as well. This has been performing super well. Again, the markets literally is just taking off, and you can kind of see that the Internet of Things, the technology stuff, has been really just outperforming. And then you get some of your cruise lines and other things that are kind of relative to the overall market, and people going back to the old way of things has kind of been lagging. So with Baba, this thing has just been taking off. I think this is an all-time high for it, right? Yeah, looks like an all-time high without a doubt here. Really kind of interesting breakdown here is Davey Day Trader talking about this quite a bit. Looks like this could run up to 247 to the short to intermediate term if the momentums can continue going higher. The squeeze has just fired. RSI is trying to climb, volume oscillator as well, but things can kind of to get really nasty if this momentum kind of stops, because that's a pretty large gap up there. The stock is up 6% today with a gap up from basically 225 to basically $8 gap up. That's a pretty large spread there. Ron, what's up, man? Welcome. Thank you for joining, my friend. Ryan bought some UVXY calls today. Interesting. I see what you're saying. Like there's playing like a potential double bottom here at 28 for a potential kind of a pop up to potentially the 40 to 45. That's interesting. I kind of like that. So I actually on Thursday went short TLT. I just bought some straight puts in TLT out in August for that to kind of start declining there as well. But it's kind of the inverse, because it's doing pretty well today with the TLT short side. Really just not performing too well. Kind of just trading sideways a little bit. I'm trying to see this break to potentially get back down to around the 153 level. But if this kind of starts going up, I can potentially buy the 30 delta call to kind of offset that. So it's kind of be like an iron, not an iron condor. It's more like a iron fly, where I'm just trying to really explain or play the extreme plays on either side. You're being a slight bear. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't put in your whole account without a doubt with the just going straight puts and things like that. You might sell end of the day. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Could you look at Square and PayPal? Thanks, man. You got it, Joe. So that's actually, it's funny because I looked at both of these for potential doing a highlight of this trade for today, and it really hit this 618 percentile move, and I said, "Ooh, that's really interesting." From the previous swing high to low, this is again the Fibonacci retracement. This is a pretty large indication again, heading up to this is Square to 128. Now kind of selling off a little bit. Again, it's still up 6.5%, little over 6%. So this has been a really strong play without a doubt. But this is just the new way of people not want to touch that dirty virus cash, and people just want to send me that. So use PayPal or Square, and this is a pretty large trend on this continue going higher again. With this being with the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, this has just kind of been just trading up here pretty substantially with this momentum of between the 5 and 8 and just continue grinding higher. Can I tell you to buy it here at all-time high? I can't do that. That breaks my rules. I would need to wait for a pullback potentially to 110 or even back down to 101 for a potential entry. On the weekly side, this thing looks just even back down on the weekly side. If you're a longer term investor, you can't buy until like 98 there. So be super mindful of that. And then PayPal, is it PayL? Yeah, there we go. So this again looks exactly somewhat like it, hitting an all-time high today, selling off much more than Square, with the 5 and 8 exponential moving average still kind of being a large part of its momentum trading. It looks like we have earnings on PayPal on the 29th. So 3-ish weeks away, or towards the end of the month. This could be like an earnings run, potentially the play on the dirty cash money. You can see here on the 21 has been support on the way up a couple times. If it comes down here, again, with earnings on the horizon, I don't normally like to play it very much due to a lot of options. If you're buying it very small and potentially want to hold it, you would have to double down or get out of it if it did really broke your rules around that. Hopefully that was helpful, Joe. Yeah, like Ryan says, I don't honestly trade China stocks. Better to trade naked options or spreads. Naked options you can do, but it depends on your overall account size. they're going to eat up a lot more capital. So you can kind of limit like a $5 or $10 spread, or even a dollar spread, depending on what you want to get used to, and just buy that 25-30 delta and just sell those puts around that thing. And it's all about getting consistency and getting your feet wet and getting used to it. Because if you continue to start using that selling premium rather than doing the Wall Street bet stuff, you're just seeing, oh, this idiot that lives in the basement that plays Nintendo Switch all day decided to buy NIO calls at $3, and then 2 weeks later the stock's at $10, and those $3 calls were now worth $150K. That doesn't happen. Like, that's just complete luck, and honestly, it could have gone substantially the other way. So just don't beat yourself up about that. You'd rather be consistent and continue doing this for 10, 15, 30 years until the day you die, or you just want to be that one guy who just had that one fantastic week and then you never can live up to it again. What about financials like JP Morgan and GS? Yeah, we can look at those. So those are actually the ones that normally first report here. Let's do JP Morgan. That's not Captain Morgan, that's JP Morgan. So looking at this again, it looks like, again, we talked about this on Sunday night with the live stream. It's kind of turning yellow here on the TTM squeeze. RSI is still not awake yet, and along with this, looking with the volume oscillator down here, looking like the potentially trying to get above 0, get out of those negative numbers for a potential push higher. As of right now, the parabolic SAR is still kind of pushing it down. If you want to buy a very small SMID bit, what a SMID bit means is buying like a 10% of your potential overall position of it around this price target and keep it on a short lease. If it starts breaking below 92 with some downward momentum, that could be some more negative news. But with earnings on the horizon, it's going to be a very difficult play for me to play this. What was the other one? Goldman Sachs. So Goldman performing a little bit better than JP Morgan because I think they have the Apple card for some reason. I think there's people just like it better. It's been holding that 200-day exponential moving average fairly well, and you start seeing the 5 and 8 start crossing through it. It really needs to break above the 211 standpoint there to continue going higher, but there is the momentum behind it. You see the volume oscillator actually getting closer to the 0 point. Let me drink some water, and then the RSI starting to go slightly skewed up to about the 60 point range. And these are great indications, but that parabolic SAR could just smack it down like a volleyball and just spike it right in your face, and then you start crying to your mommy on why you lost money playing options. So if I would wanted to play this, if I really wanted to play this, I would look at what's coming out for earnings. That's coming out around the 15th. So the 15th is going to be around this option, so playing saying plus or minus $13 from where we're currently trading, and then I would look on the tabs on potentially selling around probably the 190 because it looks like there's a lot of open interest there. The 190, you're not going to get much. The 190, and then buy this one to kind of get that credit spread. Again, that's just what I would do. Don't get mad at me if you lose money on it, right? I know you won't, but I love you. Just have to say it. Charlie, BA cup and handle on the 5-minute chart. So Charlie, I don't look at the 5-minute chart, but we can look on the daily chart, what I like to look at. So I'm actually in BA. We're selling some puts there. I'm being very, very aggressive on this on the put side, buying or selling the 180 puts basically in August for this potential run up to potentially break above that 215 price target. That being said, there is no significant sign of really downside. We're still above the 21. We like that. The 5 and 8 have crossed through the 21. We like that. We like that this red is turning into yellow. We're seeing the RSI slightly get out of its comfort zone to get above 60, and this volume, the volume oscillator down here as well is trying to go positive as well to continue going higher. That being said, be mindful of this. This could easily come back down to 173 and shake some weak hands out and potentially disturb some people's positions. That's why I went all the way out in August to give me plenty of time for this trade to play out. So that was my thought process on that, Charlie. So again, yeah, 5-minute chart's not my cup of tea, but yeah, good looking at. Be careful with the 5-minute chart though; you can get really shaken out sometimes. I don't have calls. I sold some puts. Brian, hey, can you take a look at PSPX and D long term? So isn't D being bought by Mr. Warren Buffett and Co? And what's PSXP? What is that? Phillips. Oh, is it oil stock? What the flip flop happened today? Phillips 66. They got booty slapped there in a bad way. What happened? I don't even know what happened. I'm not gonna hit this news tab because it's gonna be rubbish from stupid reporters. This is interesting. We can do this. So here, who was this? Who asked for this? Brian. So let's do. I'm gonna do this. The Fibonacci extensions here. So we're gonna do the previous swing high to low, then to another high. Kind of. Oh shoot, didn't go to the top. There we go. Boop. Get up there. Thank you. So this is indicating for a potential support around the $25, $25.40 to be precise. That being said, you can kind of see that we had a huge amount of volume kind of come in here. The RSI is getting close to the oversold, which this can be very lackluster. We can see on how that plays out on the weekly side. On the weekly side, we've kind of seen these pullbacks before. I like the RSI a little bit on the weekly side more than I like on the daily side. So if you're doing long term on the weekly, again, the parabolic SR has just switched. You're really kind of just buying a falling knife. You kind of need this to kind of, whatever just happened on this news or whatever, you kind of need to wait for things to kind of calm down. I wouldn't be going out and buying this hand over fist, potentially, because the squeezes is indicated for the first day on the weekly, and there's a squeeze, no squeeze on the daily side. So this breakdown, again, is earnings as well. Oh my gosh, this is like Russian roulette here with this stock. You're really just kind of rolling the dice. I could not honestly purchase this or look at this until it hits or potentially builds a base around the 26 to, I'm going to call it the $27 to $25 limit. Potentially if it starts building a base there, because the 5 and 8 exponential moving averages are still really drastically falling down, and I don't want to catch a falling knife. Hopefully that makes sense. Whoever asked that question, who was that? Brian. No offense, I just can't recommend that. And then, yeah, I guess this is all connected to Berkshire buying all these oil stuff and the natural gas. This is, again, we kind of talked about this on this play yesterday on potentially what could happen. We said that like it could go to 90 or it could go down below well over 78. It actually is well below 78 at $74. It's basically bouncing off its 50% retracement here on the daily side. Again, this is a falling knife. I want to wait maybe 48 hours to like a little bit longer sometimes on trading to see on how this plays out for if you're doing a long-term hold there, Brian. CD Music Group, yes. So you could, again, yeah, in theory, yes, you could. Because again, the max loss is indefinitely, yeah. Can you make a small Robinhood account to do instructional trades to the channel? Ryan, I thought about doing that, but I just can't do Robinhood. Like, I open up, I have like I think I have like $10 in there, $15, maybe $30 in that account just to kind of see on how the app has been evolving and things like that. But holy moly guacamole, like that is, the UI for me is just confusing. It's like I'm just trying to read like a road sign in France. I just don't know what I'm looking at. It's just upside down. If I have to okay things and I have to ask for call spread, it makes no sense to me. If people want it, I think I could get myself around it. Potentially, I could just make a small Tastyworks account, which put $1,000 in that, and then kind of do trading in and around that to show people the selling puts and just around the overall what I like to see in the markets. That would be helpful. Yeah, it could be risky at AF without a doubt on selling naked options, but most brokers won't let you do it unless you have like portfolio margin. He's got it GPM. Global payments. Is this the payroll system here? He's got it. So Paychex is coming out with earnings as well this week, I believe. This is pretty. This looks like there's basically some ongoing support here at 168 with basically the 200-day exponential moving average. It's trading below the 21, which is I'm not a big fan of. But the momentum's trying to change. The volume oscillator is kind of negative, and I don't really like that because it's kind of continue going down. I'm a little concerned about this. Potentially, I want to do some fibs here. It looks like on the 50% retracement. Oh, no, okay. It's around the 618. Potentially, if it gets down to the 50% retracement, I know that's quite far off, but there's a lot of like overhead negativity to it. The only thing it really has going for it, the parabolic SAR are below it, and kind of giving it some support on the way down. So if it starts getting below the 168, it could easily go to 162. I'm not a big fan of this to the long side. It kind of could just be trading sideways or potentially going lower, because as of right now, the momentum needs to really kick in harder. Volume oscillator needs to really start printing higher here as well. Charlie, Ken, you're the best. Thank you. I try to be the best person possible. Dennis, you're welcome. Oh, you're currently day trading it? Okay, be careful with that with day trading as well. Hey, I'm wondering your opinion on Google. It hasn't made new highs as the rest of the big tech names. Yeah, so Google was something I highlighted to our Patreon folks, where it was a potential trade. It kind of just went sideways and really kind of actually broke down. So on Stock Mark Sunday, we kind of made this a visible line, like I think 2 weeks ago now, where it kind of just broke away from this pink line, because I don't think Google likes the color pink. So it just like the ticks were like, hey, I'm getting away from this beautiful pink line, and I'm just going to go high as possible. So we just kind of scared it away with our witchcraft on just kind of making this to continue going higher. So using our witchcraft, potentially this could hit with earnings. It looks like earnings is not completely confirmed yet into the 27th potentially, so towards the end of the month, like a lot of the tech heavy names as well. The all-time high is 13 or 1530. We're at basically a high of 15. Looks like it tried to break the near all-time highs, but it really hasn't. On the weekly side, I think this is kind of just been trading sideways. You can kind of see here, I bought Google way back when in like 2017 over here at $900. And I got out probably around this limit here because I'm a douche. On the weekly side, let me do a quick fib here, because we can kind of see on where there could have been some resistance or some potential overhead targets. So that resistance again to the downside is around the 78th percentile move, which is around 1420. To the downside again for support, that kind of lines up with where the 21 is. It's going to have a lot of ceiling or overhead pressure around the 1530 to kind of break above that. But if it has a really strong quarter, the volume oscillator and RSI has been printing very well. That's why you kind of see this V-shaped recovery here and printing very much higher. This could be a play into earnings. For Google, it's kind of like the same scenario with like AMD and Nvidia. Like Facebook has been performing a lot better than Google. They're all basically in the ad space. I don't care what else they say they have. Like, yes, I have a Google Nest thermostat, but that's not going to move their bottom line. It's literally all the ads regarding at Google. It's still, I think it's like 90% of the revenue is from ads, so they don't care about anything else. So that's the same thing with Facebook. 90% of the stuff is ads and so forth like that. So with YouTube as well, the ad revenue is huge for them. That being said, I just can't buy it here. I want to be able to, I don't know. If I wanted to be super if I had to do something, you put a rubber band gun to my head, I would start selling maybe around the 1420 puts. Brian, thank you for the hearts. You're welcome. You're welcome. Friends don't let friends trade a Robinhood. Hey, Robinhood, yeah. I'm not going to diss them. They were there to help me trade sometimes in the back, but yeah. What do you think about Amazon? We gotta thank Robinhood. We have to give a quick shout out to Robinhood just to say thank you for making the big boys lower their commissions. I have to really thank them for that. Like, they really did help with that movement. So Amazon, who just said this? Dev demo. So there's a video coming out today where a large hedge fund bought 200 calls of the 2,900 options that are expiring like in 2 weeks. And they were already up $1 million by this afternoon. I'm pretty sure. Let's see what they're at today. It was the 2,900. Look at all these flipping options here. What did I say? 2,900. So it was in the money. Yeah, it's in the money now. Holy moly, guacamole! Yeah, yeah. So the individual bought it for. Maybe it was it this. It was the 190. So yeah, you can still see that open interest was on there. The hedge fund bought it for $91, and now it's trading at $165. So that's one heck of a trade here. And if you really want to day trade things, you really need to buy the deep in the money stuff, and that's where you really get that high delta and that really movement. But buying those in the money calls are super expensive, like super expensive. Amazon, I love it though. Like, Amazon is on, I think it's going to be running in to do a potential what it did last time into earnings. So it kind of really ran up and then traded sideways into earnings and then kind of bounced around and then tried to get higher. Because again, they at last earnings they put in like $2 billion in preventive stuff for their staff, pay raises and things like that for hazard pays. Yeah. Oh, we need to draw more pink lines for Google? Okay, I got you, man. I got you. I'll do some more witchcraft and maybe burn some hair or pray to my Ouija board. So with Amazon, it's really, again, a high momentum stock, just like Tesla we're about to get into for a rod. The 5 and 8 exponential moving average has been just driving this higher. It doesn't really care what's going on in the overall market. It's just been printing higher. Again, hitting all-time highs. If you look here on the weekly side, it just looks beautiful. It's super hard to compare. So if I do from the previous swing high to swing low, that initial price target at 31.25 is basically what we could reach to, kind of in lines with what the earnings play could happen. So be mindful of that. Be very careful on that play there. And Rod, you're asking about Tesla. Thanks you for joining, my friend. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Oh, sorry, I didn't type. Help if I put my fingers on the keyboard. So with Tesla, like we discussed, it has been completely just running super high here on solar power and just completely all their batteries just going completely higher here. Basically up 10% today, $120 basically, just really pushing higher. So we kind of made this rectangle white box here for the potential the movement into earnings, and it's already scraping the top ceiling of it. Like, not saying it can't go higher. It can easily go higher because these momentum-driven stocks can just continue going higher until someone decides to sell. I think that everyone is now just really agreeing upon that, hey, Tesla is here to stay. This is not going to be a failing company. They actually make money now. People love the car. The technology is fantastic. And I think people, and largely the hedge funds, are just realizing, like, hey, it might be actually really stupid to short this. I do not, Brian. I don't. On Patreon, I just show some potential trade ideas. I can't, and I don't want to be the person or the service or whatever you want to call it, where people just follow me for my particular trades and don't understand why I'm doing it. I kind of wanted to just kind of teach you or show you my method. Again, you can learn a lot of it just from joining the live stream, but you can get a little bit more direct access with the Patreon, Brian. More pink lines on Google. What is your favorite indicator and how did you learn to use them? My favorite indicators, what you're basically saying here, is my moving averages, my TTM squeeze. I learned from John Carter from Simpler Options, fantastic dude. And then RSI as well is one of my favorite things. And I switch out the volume zone oscillator and then the MACD sometimes. So I kind of switch in between these charts quite a bit. I don't know why this was on the 15. Go back to 4 hour. I like the 4 hour. I use the MACD quite a bit sometimes on shorter time frames. Yeah, Dennis, I really don't want to be a service. I'd rather just be a... I like my banner to say the person that helped me understand and expand my knowledge of trading options or just trading or investing together. Like, I don't want to be the guy who is just flaunting my awesome trades that you guys didn't. Whatever. I don't know. I just don't. I just feel I'm just not that guy. There's a lot of other gurus out there that you can subscribe to. Ryan, you're up 50% on those. What call did you buy? The for UVXY, what? Because it's because this is strange. So this correlation between the VIX, or what this basically does, the overall ETF of the rising implied volatility or the volume or the fear gauge, whatever you want to call it, this continues going higher with markets making a fairly strong comeback. That could be a mixed messages or mixed bag of things. So anyone who trades or uses, which I love, Thinkorswim here, if you use money sign P call, so this is the put to call ratio. To kind of just break these down into completely simple terms, what we're looking at here is, don't even look at the other indicators below. I know it looks like a complete flippin' mess. What we're looking at, it's currently at 50.58. And what we look at normally is between the 8 exponential moving average on where that sits. So that currently is sitting at 63 or 0.63. So anything below like 80-ish is considered somewhat skeptical to downside move. To kind of give you an example, we hit the around 0.59 on 610. So if you look back on what also happened on 610 here in the market, we had that pretty strong, let me zoom in here a little bit, 610 we had that really large downturn. This has been usually a catalyst for potential of what the market could happen. We're getting somewhat near to that, so if we continue climbing higher, a pullback could be ensued. This is not a 100% money golden goose trading idea of how we look at things, but it's a great indicator to kind of give you what potentially is what other people or what people are positioning as well. I bought the 710 $30 calls. I only bought 5 contracts, but nice, awesome, dude. That's great that you made some profit on that, without a doubt. Gregory, yes, it's different, without a doubt. You still get the same alerts, and you get to see the pretty in-depth charts. But if you're trying to trade it, it's not the most... I love just the desktop because I love I'm a more of a visual person, so I need to see on what's trading and what's going forth like that. I normally just use Tastyworks for a lot of the mobile stuff. They have a great mobile app, but those are just where I execute my trades. If I really need to look at a chart, I normally just log on if I'm on the go somewhere. I always have my laptop with me within like 10 feet, so that's just what my job is. But I can just easily just pull up a chart. It's hard for me. If you're actively trading, I wouldn't recommend doing it from your phone. And if you're doing like some swing trades and just kind of putting some guidelines and parameters out, without a doubt, like you can probably do it from your phone. Not in the AM, bro. What's up, Ken? Or you're saying Ken? Okay. He's got it. Hey man, do you need to check the skew index each time it hit 50 massive? Yeah, so we look at the skew as well. So that's a really good point on that. So the skew is a well on potentially, and also an indication. We are at 146. So this is basically inverse as well. So the 135 puts expires the C delta 135. So this is just some really dumb notes I put on here. So this is basically expanding on kind of the inverse of what's happening. So you can kind of talk about, we talked about the 610. The skew is something I don't really use, but it's something that I learned from the simpler trading options as well, where they talked about based on your hedge funds, based on their overall, great playing zone on that chart. So he's got it, really understands it as well. So that's why he's got it. Looking at potentially the skews as well. So you can look here, the skew hit 150, and that was on 12/19 of last year. So we can kind of go back to SPY to kind of give you that breakdown of what happened as well on 12/19. We really just had that potential market moving higher. So go back to the skew to kind of give you that breakdown there. Let's see. Looks like it hit 147 here. This is a potential, the move of the market, and potentially could just the strength of everything going forth. Because you can kind of see here on where it would be this down here, potentially the bottom. So this is basically getting a little bit, what would it say, top heavy. This could be a potential sign for some potential overhead resistance, and between the skew and the put call ratio that we talked about, it's kind of starting to signal a potential a reversal coming. But again, they're never 100%. It's just to kind of be like, hey, maybe take some profits on large up days like today, which we have, and not really putting too many new positions on, because there might be some great buying opportunity coming in the next week or so. Can you switch between charts on the upper corner of your screen? I'm using Toss as well. How do you do that? So handy. How you do that is you have to go here on the little, I think it's called create a grid. So you have to create a grid here, and then you buy. So for example, if I do restore cells, you can kind of see my grid pattern here with all my charts here. I know this looks pretty insane. So you can see up here, once you go into the chart, so once you have a grid created, and for example, if you want to zoom into it, you just right click anywhere on the chart and you hit maximize cell. That allows you to go into it, and then you can kind of flip back and forth from those arrows there. Looking at Sydney, Microsoft 220 for the 17th. Again, they have earnings coming out as well, so we kind of talked about this on the live stream yesterday. You're welcome, my friend. So with this on the 16th, it has earnings, so you're buying the call that's basically, that's probably going to be Friday, and they have earnings on Thursday. With that, we can look here on the options tab here, let this load. So we're playing plus or minus $10 where we're currently at, so that's around 220. So you're really kind of playing the call extreme, and it really needs to perform for you to kind of get higher to that. Not saying it can't happen. Microsoft's great, and they've been performing so well. this has been really just kind of grinding higher. You can kind of see here the Fibonacci retracements from the previous swing high to low. It kind of blew past the 1272 extension as well, potentially looking for 226. This could easily be reached with a fantastic quarter and then again some more momentum behind it. I think this is easily reachable within the short to mediate term if the market continues grinding higher, which we just talked about a couple minutes ago with the skew and put call showing some potential yellow flags on some warnings and maybe, hey, pump your brakes and kind of wait for a potential pullback in the overall market. If you're more short-term trading, swing trading, if you're not having some longer-term investments as well. Ryan also bought MU at 52.50 calls on August 7th. MU. What happened? Whatever happened to that their order? Like, what the heck just happened there? So their earnings call, it just kind of really came back down to 21. It held the 21 very well. Didn't really break it. So if you were in it, you got to have those guidelines there. Really traded well. Coming to today, we have a new squeeze indicating on the daily chart, looking for potential moves higher. Again, it's a one-day squeeze. Usually don't want to trade a signal on that. On the weekly side, let me scroll this through because I just expanded my grids. You have a 2-day squeeze and it's looking very strong. So Ryan, you're doing August. I wouldn't consider that a long-term trade, but we can kind of look here on potential some price targets from the previous swing high to low. So the $50.80 is a potential overhead resistance. Again, that's the 618, which is a pretty crucial level. We've kind of seen that hit here before a couple weeks ago, kind of failed to break above it and close above it. Kind of failed here even in September of last year, and really hasn't seen much of these prices really trying to chop higher to get above. With this, continue trying to grind higher, potentially, if things can continue to break out and get that momentum going, with the squeeze potentially firing higher, this momentum climbing as well, and the Chaikin money flow, which I use sometimes on a longer term chart to kind of gauge on what the longer term hedge funds and investors are doing there. This is kind of a great little indicator there. Looking back to the daily side, we really want to see that parabolic SDR tested around 52.96, where I think is where your call was at, around 52.50 for a potential breakout. I can't be with any certainty again within the markets, but it looks like it wants to continue going higher. Dev demo BA popping a bit on the daily chart. Yeah, so as long as it stays above 180, I'm a happy camper. I like to camp on. I don't like to physically go out and camp because I don't like the humidity. And I like AC, and I like to have electronics, and I like to have comfort, and I like to eat food. Anything that's not to do with camping. I like the basic 21st century necessities. I like running water as well. Yeah, no crystal ball, Ryan. You got it. So I'm really just camping at this 180. I want it to hold. I'm building my fort on this. I'm putting my banner down, saying, "Hey, BA, I dare you come down to 180, you son of a gun, and break through it." And that's where I'm holding my capital there. My capital if they're my army men. Not in the AM, bro. Microsoft going to 250 by the end of the year. So we can look at what the options are thinking. Again, these are just, those market makers' projections. So we look at the very last December options. We're saying plus or minus $40. So that basically puts it into the 250 range. Again, we're going to probably have 2 more quarters in the short term before that even comes out. So that could be a potential catalyst for going higher, but that is really kind of a really bullish statement on that chart without a doubt. I know it will hit 250 hopefully one day because it's a great stock, great company, and performing very well. By the end of the year, there's too many other obstacles that could happen. I'll hold MU for a couple says and see what happens. I generally inverse and everything that Kramer pumps. That's awesome. Also playing eBay earnings with 60 calls on the 17th. Don't know how much eBay, but looks strong. Brian, great point. We're going to put a pink line on BA as well for to hold. So we're going to draw we're going to edit that. We're going to make it super thick, and we're going to make it pink. Boom. Don't cross that line. All right, so you were looking at eBay. Holy moly guacamole. This thing is performing like a son of a gun. So eBay 60 earnings coming up. Potentially looking at, it looks like the 16th is the earnings, not completely confirmed yet. So you're buying it looks like Thursday potentially, the 16th, but a little over 2 weeks away, 10 days away basically. This looks interesting. It's really, again, hitting an all-time high just today. That's pretty phenomenal, without a doubt. This is, it's going to be a hard one to tell you to buy this. If you're already in that call, I think that is a pretty substantial, if you're buying into it now and see how it goes. We'll see on how that could kind of play out. I think that, again, the overall market has been pouring out, and it's just been, all these stocks have been flying higher. Like these are pretty steep lines. If you're talking about an angle, these are almost like 80-degree angle lines, and that usually doesn't happen very much within the market. So I'm a little hesitant a lot of times when I see these huge market trends like this, and it's usually just kind of ripe for a pullback at times. So just be mindful of that. I think eBay is doing fantastic just because, again, everyone's trying to figure out how people are making money, how are people spending money during these times of being stuck at home, maybe canceling their vacations, having more cash, people having less cash, things like that. They're really kind of rebalancing the overall economy. So the $60 call for that 17th could be a play. Again, they're saying plus or minus $3.60. That's a little bit, again, out of the potential range. So you're buying outside of the market maker's move, so just be careful with that. Put a pink line, that's for sure. Thoughts on Square? Yes. So Square, we talked about at the beginning of the live stream. It's kind of, again, hitting all-time high today, kind of selling off again. We talked about it was nearly 7% high. It's kind of needs to break above the 618, the 1-1, so 1-6-1-8 percentile move, which is around close above 119, basically just 120 to kind of continue moving higher here. Looking for, against the next price target being substantially up there. This has been, again, a very strong mover between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average to continue grinding higher. Potentially could pull back to the 109 if you're short-term intermediate trading. If you're longer-term trading, you're looking closer to the $100 price target for that. I cannot recommend to buy this today. It's just, again, hitting all-time high today. It's just been doing very well. Bob, what's up, man? Thanks for joining, man. How you been? Hope all's well. Thank you for coming back. Could you check out CL? I'm actually got calls today for the 24th for a earnings run-up. What do you think? Heading down just a few minutes ago. CL. What's CL? Oh, Colgate Palm Olive. So I think this is more like those defensive stocks. Like, this is something like I'm always going to need my flippin' toothpaste no matter what happens in the market. But with the markets hitting really outlandish levels, it's kind of hard for these like slow growth, like plain Jane's, average Joe's stocks to really perform very well. I wouldn't say it's going negative. It hasn't broke below the 21 yet. We see that the potential support level, if it has broken the 21, has been the 50 simple moving average, which is around $71. Again, there's a squeeze indicating here. for potential lower prices. I kind of like this to the short side, like you're saying here. He's got it, so I might actually, let me do something here real fast. Let's see here. Let me pull up this. What is it doing? CL. It has a dividend on the, what is that, the 17th? What is that? Why is this not showing me the date? Okay, 17th there. Earnings coming out, confirmed on the end of the month. So, I think it'd be fine, but I'm going to might sell some calls around the $75. So, just kind of collect some, a little bit of premium here. I'm going to do a spread. Basically, I'm going to sell a 75 and oh, it's not letting me fill this here. So again, here, this is what I'm doing. So this is what I'm talking about, those spreads. Ryan, I love the South Park thumbnail. Thank you for noticing that. Thank you. So what I'm going to do, I'm risking capital of $154. Max profit is only $46. Again, this is through Tastyworks. I know that seems a little crazy, like how am I going to make so much money from this? But I'm looking for a potential move, or this not breaking 75 coming into earnings. Can it easily break this? Yes, it can. Might have to readjust it. Maybe want to give myself a little bit more time, but the premiums are kind of high here. You want to see if I can get a fill here. See that working up there. We'll see if that gets filled or not. And that's basically what I could be looking at for this one, because again, this is kind of just signaling that it wants to go lower, even though it's just kind of just blah out there. So thank you for putting that to my attention, and it's a nice little potential short-term. It's not a complete short, because I'm not wanting to kind of come crashing down well below 200-day. I'm just betting it's not going to get above 75 in the near term. And what I'm looking for profit from that, again, we're looking at $45 at max profits. I'm looking to maybe take $30 from that. So again, I risked $150. I made $30. We're looking at, what is that? 10 to 15% return on capital on $150 that I kind of don't have to really look at. And one thing I just forgot, because it hasn't got filled yet. For a potential play. Once it gets filled, I want to go into it and make sure I close for a profit of 70% of the initial credit from that. Bob, can you look at work finally in a position to feel decent in starting a smaller investment? Yeah, we can look at Slack. Work. So work is trying to really get above these 21 exponential moving averages. It didn't come down to the 200-day, which I kind of thought it could happen with some negativity. The 50-day has kind of come in for some ongoing support. It's still below the 21. The 5 and 8 are starting to start trading sideways. We don't want to. We just want to start curling up. We have the TTM squeeze starting to go positive with the yellow. RSI and volume zone oscillator really need to kind of wake up as well to kind of potentially drive this higher. Again, this volume zone oscillator needs to really go positive to kind of see some higher prices going forth. So initial price ceiling of resistance could be around 32 and then around 33. It needs to really break through that. Again, I think they're here to stay, but I think they're just kind of really getting beaten up by Microsoft Teams here in the short term. Had a pretty strong run-up into the last quarters, but really failed here, and now just kind of trading sideways in this purgatory range. If it starts breaking below basically the $30 limit to basically the $28.42, this could be a potential interesting bet to potentially pick up here. This is where I would like to pick it up. Again, I don't want to buy it on the first red candle down, because a red candle down could insinuate more further downside. I want to see a 2 or 3 or maybe 4 or 5 days of consolidation in around the 200-day there. Hopefully that was helpful for you, Bob. And Ryan, yeah, thank you again for the South Park fantastic thumbnail. Yes, I love that. That's one of my favorite South Park episodes. Let's maybe check. Not getting filled on that Colgate there. Again, market's just super high right now. Like, it's absolutely insane. Looking for, why is this I'm going to get out. I'm actually going to get out of my... Okay, that didn't work. I'm trying to get out of my Nike puts that I sold at 95 from its last earnings. We sold some 95 puts here, which is basically around the 78.6 percentile move that we currently had. Now kind of been climbing higher since the last of the earnings, and just been performing very well, and I need to get out of it to kind of roll that capital into something else. And I just closed that screen there. Whoopsies. Let's see here with that. Still, they're asking for more. What the hell do they want from me? Netflix. Switch. My gosh, Tesla's up to 134. Holy moly. It doesn't care about gravity. Like, they figured out how to do anti-gravity suit here and just flying to the moon here. This is fantastic. Oh, man, I'm so glad I bought those shares back around this 200-day here. Whew. If it comes back to this limit again, I'm gonna have to refinance the house and buy some. I'm just joking. Don't ever do that. That was a horrible joke. I would like to buy more though. I just can't buy it up here. It's up. I'm doing $1,400. A couple other stocks that we talked about. Ryan, need to give you a shout out for what you talked about the other day. Thermo Fisher on Sunday. Holy moly! I literally was looking at it. I saw some pre-market activity, and it was performing like, I'm like, what is going on here? Like, does Ryan know something? Is Ryan like executive at Thermo Fisher? Like, what's going on here? Like, he must know something. I'm just joking with you, but it really just took off. And do I still have Tesla? Yes, I still own Tesla stock, and I honestly just trade puts around it. I just sell puts. Wayfair still running on steroids? Yeah, I'm not honestly surprised by that, because the people that I talk to, they're like, yeah, we're not going outside to buy things. It's just been continued just kind of grinding higher again. We talked about this on its last quarter. Like, we could say it could have came down to the 21, and it's been really just trading around the 21. Came down a couple times to kind of touch it and give it a hug, but it's been performing very well. Again, this is just like a Zoom, just like all the other pandemic stocks. It's been performing it's just been performing super well in the fact of this overall midst of the virus and everything. And people were like, hey, I didn't know I can buy decent furniture and literally can return it if I don't like the color of it, without a doubt. Yeah, so we can look at the Wayfair for some potential price target. Looks like it has earnings somewhat on the horizon on end of the month. I want to do actually shorter term. I want to do this here. This is not really helping me here. So this is, again, very short term. We're actually going to bring this down to the 4-hour chart to kind of give us a better breakdown. I know there's a lot of lines. I do apologize for that. If that hypnotizes you, let me go like this. There we go. So again, hitting an all-time high today, kind of selling off a little bit here. Looking for a potential break. It kind of failed here at the 228 limit there for the Wayfair. Potentially looking for some support around the, what is that, 216, 215 for a potential bounce higher again. With earnings through the end of the month, we could kind of see this trading sideways unless the overall market decides to sell off, and then we could see some further pain from this as well. Thoughts on Workhorse, EV stock that's been running up recently, most recent, yeah. I honestly don't have much to add to this because it's a heavy momentum stock. So we talked about this on the live stream just yesterday. If it starts selling off, which again, it's a heavy momentum stock. So what do we talk about? The heavy momentum stocks are usually traded between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average on the daily chart. It just came down to touch the 5 exponential moving average. Got out probably a lot of weak hands here. it kind of is doing the FOMO middle finger. Kind of see here, you have the first knuckle, the middle finger, and then the second knuckle, and then another knuckle. Whereas kind of this volume indicating of a potential like FU. This is going to start going down soon. Doesn't always happen like that, but this is an early indication for potentially if it starts getting below the 1530 limit and no one's really coming in to buy this. This could easily start selling off potentially down to the $10. Potential movement there. But if this could just be taking a break here at the 17 and continue going higher. I don't usually like to trade these really heavy momentum stocks unless I was in it at $2 or in it at $3 or $5. Then I would just kind of ride it up and see what happens. But I would be taking profits on each of these large gaps up as well. PRLD. Oh, I just got filled on CL. PRLD. Oh, I like this one too. Ryan, you're 2 for 2, my friend. I like this one. This is ready. This is looking prime. This is looking sexy. Ryan, man, my man, he's coming through. So the 5 and 8 are crossing through the 21, kind of brought it lower. 50-day has come in to potentially support it. The 5 and 8 potentially can break out to continue moving this higher. We have a first day of a squeeze. RSI and volume zone oscillator are trying to go positive here as well. This looks pretty interesting. Kind of see here. It looks like it's trying to break above from the previous, this is again on a weekly side, from previous swing high to low, kind of coming through the 50% retracement, kind of failed at the 127 or $127 here, which is the 618 percentile move there. So let's look at some of these trades here for this. Let's see how that is it liquid, Ryan? So let's go ahead. So it doesn't look like it has that many options available. But yeah, that was my concern because I've never heard of this before. I don't want it. It's going to be hard to sell puts or calls on this because of the overall. There's like not really much out there, not really much activity. Let's see what the 17th is. Yeah, there's not really that much activity there as well. Won't be able to sell too many puts. I don't know if I want to do calls on this because these spreads are super bad, like $2. $2 here. Let's see. It's interesting kind of volume kind of peaking up here. Someone could be selling this here. I have to ponder on that one. I don't know if I could trade that. I like the chart, but on options trading, I might have to just buy some stock. For potential play this to the $127. So I might just buy a couple of shares here. Let's see what happens. Let's see here. 127.2. Let's buy 10 shares. It doesn't fill me right away with the flip. Oh, I gotta pay a penny more. Send it. Oh, that son of a gun's making me work for it. You gotta come to me, you son of a B word. Yeah, so I'm gonna buy about like 10 shares here, potentially. If it starts breaking above, looking for the movement above. So if they're showing me some confirmation here, I'm gonna put it in alert here. Do at or below, and want to see it kind of break above here with that squeeze indicating. Potentially, again, I bought stock, so I'm going to be a little bit more loosey-goosey with it. So thank you, Ryan, for that, my friend. Let's see here. HXC, yeah, no problem if you missed it. I just wanted to clarify that we covered it and what we talked about it. Just be very careful with it. If you're in it early, fantastic, round of applause, great trade there, my friend. Just be super careful because once people start feeling that the money in their hands starting to slip away and those ticks starting to come down, people start running to the door really well. Yeah, Ryan, yeah, those options are not very liquid. I can't trade those. See, Amazon is still going to the moon. Jeez, I know. The thing is, if you want to invest in something like that, you kind of have to be really patient, unless you just want to throw money away. Being one of the key catalysts for trading, particular, even investing or swing trading, is just having patience. And even though everything is really much, a lot of the market movers are up today, finding something like PRLB is something that is pretty lucrative in the sense of, I am not filled yet in that son of a gun. You making that market move there? I had to move it up another 15 cents. Okay, you know what? I'll pay 2 cents more for it. There we go. Now I'm filled. I had to pay 2 cents more for that son of a bitch. Anyways, we'll see how that plays out. Thank you again for that insight there, Ryan. Can you please guide me on INOVIO? What's the ticker for that? Is that NIO? C1 Ton Soup, keep an eye on SHOP for the next few days to hit the 925. Yeah, SHOP pulled back today, didn't it? Which is kind of confusing due to the overall market. It's going higher. So this one, you're saying one. Yeah, it's strange because again, it did hit the RSI here on the overbought. Again, that's usually not a first sign of what I'm going for, but momentum has also switched. The moving averages haven't really crossed over on top of each other and is kind of trading somewhat sideways, potentially just taking profits from hitting an all-time high of breaking over $1,000, so that's pretty fantastic. On the long side, on the longer term side, on the weekly side, again, this is literally nearly a straight up line. Again, if we do here, we're talking what is this? A 70% move here. This is just blows my mind on how much this has moved just in a very short period of time. Potentially, if it starts coming down to the 932 limit, this could potentially be a potential catalyst to buy it if it doesn't come down very steeply, if it doesn't really cut through it like a hot butter, or a hot knife through butter, or a hot knife through I don't know what else we can put in that little word to kind of describe something that's dangerous to catch when it falls down. This is going to be pretty much a indication of. This has had some large swings. It looks like there's earnings coming up as well at the end of the month, like basically everything else in the market that we're currently looking at. That being said, I'm going to be a little bit more mindful on this one because it has made all-time highs. And once it has made all-time highs, it's kind of come back down to the 21 and then kind of made a run back up. So if I was a betting man, which I am, I would like to see this below the 935 to potentially even to 885 as well. I know that's quite far off, and I know they've been performing so well, but if I have to do my precautionist, conservative views on that stock. Oh, I know. So this one, I think we covered this as well. This kind of came up on the live stream. Sorry, more water. So the INO is kind of coming back down again. I think this has to do something with the overall the virus and the pandemic and getting things kind of. So Tesla just broke 1357. Holy moly, that's crazy. That is actually amazing. I just got that alert push through. It's at 1354 right now, $145 higher. I was joking with someone this morning. I'm like, why is Tesla only up $85? Why isn't it up $300 today? Well, it's going to be up $140 today almost. So back to the INO, it's really kind of coming back down to the 21 exponential moving average here on the daily side here. So there's nothing too kind of crazy. I don't exactly know the fundamental or what's happening in the stock. Oh, I just got filled on my Nike. Great. I have some more capital to kind of put to work there as well. Sorry for all the dings in the back. It kind of scares me too sometimes. This time I did not tinkle my pants though. So this, again, I don't know what made this go higher. I'm guessing it has something to do with the virus or something like that, because it's a pharmaceutical company or some kind of test or whatever. Then coming back down to the 21, potentially could be trading sideways until another catalyst can come higher. If you want to be very skeptical and put a bet in, this is the area I would potentially want to buy. But the 5 and 8s are coming through the 21 here, and the ticks are going lower to potentially the 34, which is on 1675. I would need to get out. This one, I don't know how the options look like, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty lackluster there. So just be careful out there, particularly with those spec plays. Let's go ahead and look at Tesla again. This thing is just wow. That is that boy. That's a heck of a run there. Gilead car. Yep. Okay, we can look at that one as well. So this is one I was actually looking at earlier today to potentially to get in a long position. This thing has just been really trading sideways, for lack of better words. It is trying to scream to go higher. It really is. It's trying to potentially tell itself and tell everyone else, hey, buy me, I'm going higher, you sons of a bitches. On the weekly side, the squeezes can last on this stock forever. Because again, it's a pharmaceutical stock that's usually driven on releases, clinical tests, and new drugs or whatever. This one in particular has been in a very long squeeze, and it has kind of just traded sideways, which is normally what happens, potentially indicating for it can potentially go higher, since the 5 and 8 are above the 21 and the overall ticks are as well above the 200 exponential moving average. The parabolic SAR has just switched today, which is another great sign. Volume oscillator has gone positive. RSI hasn't really said much to do anything here, but potentially trying to go higher as well. That being said, we can kind of see potentially some more movement. Kind of want to do a quick fib here from the previous swing high to the swing low here. Looking at, potentially to the 50% retracement, which is around $78. If it really can get moving and the squeeze really fires with a lot of volume behind it, could easily go to $80. I know they have something to do with the overall virus and their protection, things like that. And I'm sure that's going to be a huge catalyst there. So it's going to be very difficult for me to kind of play in and around that scenario. Let's see here. Okay. You're welcome, my friends. Any thoughts on GRPN? Have we done that? Probably have. Oh, Groupon. Oh, no. Poor Groupon. Poor Groupon. Oh, poor Groupon. This thing is just poor Groupon. I don't like to see these stock splits. I don't like that. This is a 1 for 20. So you're getting 1 for each one share. You're getting 20. I always get this confused. Anyways, this does not look great for my thoughts on it. It's trying to potentially make a base here to potentially try to break above that $21 price target and get above that 21 exponential moving average. But even previously to this pandemic, it's just been doing not so great. It's still below its 200-day exponential moving average and just continued trending lower, even though the poor restaurants and a lot of those retail stores need this at the most to kind of make their profits. On the weekly side, you also see a squeeze indicating higher. This could be a potential buyout, honestly, for some stock, but I don't want to own it just because of a potential buyout coming. I would not want to touch this with a 10-foot pole on the long side. On the short side, if it starts getting up to the 21 price target and it doesn't have the momentum to stay, this would be a potential short idea from there. So post-wall thought, hopefully that was kind of helpful for you, my friend. I did trade AAXN due to the beginning of all the riots and everything, and kind of got a lucky break and got out of it at a certain limit because I sold like the $100 calls. But it's just, this is continuing climbing higher and looking for potential even higher prices, potentially breaking the 105 if this momentum can really get going there. So to be super mindful of that, be careful out there with this one without a doubt. Let's see here. Let's see. My options are doing good. Let's see. I'll type in this. Let's see. Looking good here. You're welcome, buddy. Kind of see what SPY is doing towards the end of the day. Looking like we potentially could break above this invisible box that we've been talking about for the last like 2 weeks, which is again above the $316 price target, which is a good sign for the bulls. But again, we did also talk about that the put call ratio and also the skew, potentially some early signs for a pullback in the short to intermediate term. Justin, do you day trade contracts? Rarely. I don't day trade because I'm not intelligent enough for the day trades, because I have emotions and my emotions get the better of me. And then also, if I do day trade contracts, it's usually I'll just trade the futures. I'll just trade the straight up futures if I want to day trade the overall market. I know a lot of people who do very well trading contracts or options contracts for day trades. C1 Ton Soup, Amazon 1100 or 3100. Honestly, at this point, why not? Like, just go ahead. Like, we have that initial price target looking at 31.25. Again, we can go with the potential higher prices with that the market, but again, it's up 5%. Again, it's a 5% on a $3,000 stock is quite remarkable. Again, I have a video going out. Let me check that time. I think I just finished rendering and it's uploaded. Yeah, I have it scheduled for 4:45 in order to be talking about Amazon. So there's an Amazon trader who bought, what did he buy? He bought the 2900 call yet for the expiring in 11 days. So we can go down to the 2900 right here. He bought this call for $91. It's currently trading at $172. So the initial, I think it was 200 calls at that price, and that was around $1.8 million bet. Now this is probably currently trading at, let's do by single, and we can just up this to 200, confirm and send at 3.4. So this guy, or this trader hedge fund, it literally bet 1.8 and now is currently up 3.5 total in their account, nearly a double, or nearly $2 million added to their overall account there, which is quite crazy on a particular trade. Again, those are cheap options. Like that option, that single option cost $9,100. That's just how the power of options and the power of having that money to be able to do those things like that. Again, it's a very risky bet, but you're buying. So just how was it just Justin who asked if I day trade things? If I was day trading and I wanted to day trade, you have to buy those deep in the money calls to really play those high deltas. Them dings are the money signs. You got it, Kelly D. You got to get that money. Got to get that money. Let's see here. Lewis, I day trade up to 4,000. I did over 1,000. Thanks. Boeing. Oh, you got made $4,000 on BA. Yeah, QQ is hot again. Yeah, Nasdaq has just been going gangbusters with the overall just the tech section. So again, just to be fully understandable, I look at the S&P 500 because that's a huge component of the overall economy. The QQQs are going to be more the very heavy tech-based and new growth in pharmaceuticals and every kind of new, more of a risky assets. But of course, this has been performing super well here. Again, looking here, potential some initial price targets, kind of breaking through that 1272 extension again at the 257. Potentially the next price target for that is going to be around the 283 there for the QQQs. Not saying that's going to happen tomorrow, but that is the next price target. For the downside for the Qs, we're looking for potentially coming down to the 21, because you can see here the 21 has been some ongoing support if it does come down in the next couple days. Yeah, without more risk, bigger return. I agree with you, my friend. Thoughts on love? Yeah, I love me some love. I got to do a couple more, and I have to actually run to make a call at 4:05 for a client. So Southwest, we kind of did this. I don't know if you watched our breakdown of a video on EU banning international. Some countries are banning and having people quarantine themselves if they come into the EU. Excuse me, and we looked at a potential price target at $31. It hit that price target. I didn't pull the trigger because I honestly don't want to own the airlines, but it was a great entry there at $31.50. Kind of traded up now, trading sideways potentially. I think that Love is still the better of the airlines, potentially with Delta having earnings coming out as well, so I think soon. It's just really just trading sideways. If it starts breaking above 35, we could see those parabolic SAR switch, but nothing really to write home about. It's just kind of just trading sideways, waiting for potentially the economy to start picking up and people getting on those planes. Are you doing options or equity? I do both. I have 3 different accounts. I have short-term options, which is more, I call it my YOLO fund sometimes. Then I also have my main trading account, which I just use through Tastyworks, which is a lot of options and some equities. And then I have my super long-term fund, which I have a lot of stock, like the boomer stocks, like Waste Management, Disney. I got some Tesla even in that one, so forth. I don't do much Forex, though. Yeah, be careful again with futures. Even with the micros, I know the capital is less, but if you don't get out and set a game plan, you still can lose a lot of money. We did Alphabet, but we can do Apple as well. So let's go ahead and look at ALK for you. Again, we got 2 minutes left-ish in the market here. We can kind of see here. So is this Alaska Group? Is this Alaska Airlines? So this kind of looks just like the airline company, kind of just trading sideways again. Looks a lot like Love we just looked at, just kind of trading sideways, kind of waiting on what earnings comes out. Again, we're really just waiting on what happens in the overall market. Justin, question on possible corrections. Since homes are in for balance until October, November, are there any other volatility then? I think we can easily see some volatility without a doubt. I think there's volatility is going to be in the market for some time. Definitely, I think it's going to be less like a lack of volatility last week and potentially even this week because a lot of people are just on vacation. Garbage. I do have a video on my charts setup. I think I do. Do I have a video on it? Shoot. I did a live stream on it. Let me find this sucker for you real fast. If Google... Come on, YouTube, you're better than that. Yeah, here we go. So if I link this, I wonder if I can I link it in the bottom? Alright, so copy. Alright, there you go. That is the live stream that we did a couple weeks ago. The first part is talking about my chart set up as well. I think if you link the chat or enable it, you should be able to grab the links that I shared with you. Brian, thanks for the thumbs up and the love. I really appreciate it. Lewis, your broker charges you $40 per contract? What the hell? That's crazy, bro. Oh, there's the market. Closing. Bada bing, bada bang. Did I get everything out? I never got my Chipotle fill. That sucks. That's fine. Guys, I really have to get going. I apologize on a quick little exit here. I do appreciate everyone coming out and watching again. Probably potentially do another live stream probably Wednesday or Thursday to see how the market continues. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Ken from the Dyslexic Investor, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace!